record muna. So once ma-record, I'll start. All right, so good afternoon or shall I say good evening, everyone? Good evening, computer engineers, right? Soon to be engineers. Okay, so welcome to week 2 session. So now allow me to head on to our Eclipse. So this time I'm going to create a class. So let's continue with our discussion. So week 2. Right. So I'll create a class and then, yeah, so this class would have public static void main. Okay, so last time we were actually discussing about the idea of the arithmetic operators in Java. No, so we perform subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulus operator. So I don't know if some of your classmates were here, but these are, I guess, no, nakalags. So we have Christian, Jahol, Rafael, and Reinhardt. Okay, so let's continue with our discussion. So this time I'm going to discuss to you the other operators in Java. So again, we already discussed about arithmetic operators. No, no. If we're gonna be talking arithmetic operators, we have here addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulus operator. So when we talk about, of course, we all know these basic operators, no, especially addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Just in case you are not familiar with remainder or modulus operator, so this will actually return or yield a remainder of whatever number you divided, whatever number you divide. So let's say for an instance, if you're going to get the division or the remainder of 2 or 5 rather, with 2 as our divisor and 5 as our dividends, so this shall display or output as like 1 because the remainder of 5 divided by 2 is actually 1. So it's like you're going to divide 5 by 2 and which is actually 2, and then 2 times 2 is 4, then 5 minus 4 is 1. So the same idea with all other, I mean the same idea if you're going to get the remainder of a certain value. Okay, so let's say for an instance, if you have 15 uh, by 3, the remainder is actually 0 because when you divide 15 by 3, uh, it's actually 5, and hence the remainder is 0. All right, so now let's if ever you have a in Java, if ever you have a mixed expressions or compound expressions, let's say you have um, let's say 3 plus 4 times 5. All right, so whenever you there's this will occur no in your, let's say, examination, or shall we say if you are going to get certificate for Java development fundamentals, no, these are actually common to, like, most of the time these are parang mga questions that will come out. So yeah, we follow the same mathematical concepts, no, as we actually parang perform or say parang the expressions, no, read as we read the expression, we follow the PEMDAS, or which represents parentheses, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So whenever you see this one, of course, the first the operand with multiplication operator will be executed first or evaluated first before you add them. So it's not 3 plus 4, which is 7 times 5, but rather it's 5 times 4 plus 3. Okay, so the result of this one would be, okay, the result of this one would be 23. right? So yeah, that's it, no? So if yeah, if it's mixed expression and it's like this, so all you just need to do is you read it from left to right. Yeah. So mathematically, I mean programmatically, it's the same with whatever concepts in mathematics. So yeah, you perform or execute or evaluate first the multiplication, then addition. Okay, so if multiplication and divisions are all present in your expression, then therefore, okay, then therefore, let's say you have here divided by 2, so multiplication, division, so it's like left to right, and then addition. So the result of 4 times 5 divided by 2, which is 20, 10 divided by 2, 10 plus 3, which is 13. So with this one, let's say if this is, let's say, something like this one, so there is parenthesis in your expression, so you will need to execute first what's inside of parentheses. So parentheses, then multiplication, then addition. So yeah, if we are going to run this one, so we have 0, 23, so 13. And then for this one, which is 15, 5 minus 2 is actually 3. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 3 is 15. That's why it's 15. Yeah, so that's arithmetic operators. Okay, so question so far? Yeah, do you guys do you have question, guys? You guys have questions? Hello? Hello? May questions? Wala.
Wala na, sir.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so actually, I have sent you the video recording of this one. So you just have to backread it in our GC. So next is, so this is arithmetic operators. So another one is relational operators. So when you talk about relational operators, these are used to create comparison, no? And this will return true or false. Of course, this is easy because I'm pretty much sure you have encountered this relational operators or comparison operators. So we have 5 less than 2. Okay, you can have 5 equals to less than or equal to 5. 5 equals to 5. 5 is not equal to 5. And let's say we have 5 is greater than or equal to 4. And we have 5 is greater than 5. So this one is, of course, this is false because 5 is less than 5 is greater than 2. So it will yield to false. No, this will result to false. And this is 5 is less than or equal to 5. So since although 5 is not less than 5, but it has or equal, so therefore this is true. And then this one is 5 is equal to 5. Obviously, this is true. And this one, 5 is not equal to 5. Since 5 is equal to 5, therefore, this expression is false. And then we have 5 is less than or equal to 4. And this is actually true. And this is false because 5 is equal to 5. It's not greater and it's not equal to 5. So with this relational operators, we use this relational operators to create decisions, which is later on I'm going to be discussing that to you. So, but before that, another is, before we'll go with logical operators, first is you will need to also understand, or at least no, have an idea that this expressions can be multiple or can be compound. So, meaning to say, you can have two compound statements or compound expressions, but that is you can only formulate or you can only create compound expressions if you have or using logical operators. Okay, so ano tong mga logical operators? So we have and, we have or, and we have not. So what are these? First is, let's start with and. So what are and operators? Itong si and operators. So if you have two or three expressions, all of these expressions must be true. Otherwise, the entire expression will be false. So tanan dapat true. If there is, this is like the idea of muragod siya og sa kanang, let's say if you have conditions that says I'm going to marry you if you have, let's say si Kiray, no? Oh, Kiray has condition to you that she is going to marry you when you have house and lot. So dapat house and lot must be present in you, no, as your like ownership or something like that. However, if you don't have house or you don't have any lot, so dili mo pwede kaslon or dili mapakasal si Kiray sa imuha. So another example, if you only have house and then you don't have the lot, so it's still false because the absence of one cannot be true. And if or vice versa. So again, the absence of one cannot be true. So pag naisa ka false, the entire expression will be false. Actually, nani siya truth table. So, ang truth table niya ani is true, true, true. Yan. Tapos, true, false. Ang result, true. So, another one is false, true. Ang result, sorry. This should be false. Ang result should be false. And then, false and false, the result will be false. So, mag-true lang siya if both or all of your expressions are true. So, siya, example, you have, let's say, 5 less than, let's say 5 is less than or equal to 6, and 5 is equal to 5. So, with this one, you have 5 is less than or equal to 6. This is actually, the first expression is actually true. And the second expression, 5 is equal to 5 is equal to true. This will yield to true. Okay, so when I am going to run this one, yan. So and operators true. So again, if any of this expression will be false, okay, look at the truth table, everything will be false. Yan. So if you want to learn more of this, I have also uh, created a video tutorial for this one. Okay? So for OR operator, baliktad naman siya sa AND operator. So for OR operator, either or. So kaya siya or, no? Meaning either, let's say you have house or lot, lot or a house, or if you have both. So why not, no? So let's say you have house, you don't have the lot, it's still true. You have the lot but you don't have the house, it's still true. You don't have the house and you don't have the lot, of course it will becomes false. So in OR operator, okay, in OR operator, you will use this pipe symbol. Yan. So since this one is true and true, of course, obviously this will be true. So whenever this is like 5 is less than or equal to 4, or if it's 5 is not equal to 5. So the first expression is false, the second expression is false, then therefore the entire expression is false. So in OR operator, as long as there is one condition that is true, in the entire expression will be true. Ayan. So yeah, that's it, no? So false. So the last one is not operator. So the not operator is it simply the negates the expression. Negate negation, no? It negates the expression. So let's say if it's not a house, then it could be a lot. And if it's not a lot, then it could be a house. So meaning to say, when an expression is true, it will be converted to false. When an expression is false, it will be converted into true. So baliktaron lang niya. So example, let's say this expression is actually, let's say this expression is since this expression yields to true, tama. And then if you are going to have not in the true, then this will become false. So again, yeah, false. So in the not operator, take a look at this one. The resulting expression of this statement is true, and then you use the negation operator or the not operator, and it makes it the entire expression becomes false. All right. So do you guys have questions with this one? Kasi these are prerequisites in learning uh, advanced programming. Okay. So do you guys have questions? Hello? Do you guys have questions? Hello?
None so far po, sir.
Okay, that's good. O, sige. None so far. All right, so let's have another topic. So we'll have J option pane or GUI input output, no? So input output. Okay, so what is UI input output? So with GUI input and output, di ba last time we used input and output based on console. So this time, atong buhaton would be we're going to take the input from the user coming from a prompt or an input dialog box. Okay. So first thing that you will need to do is you'll have to import the library javax that swing. Okay, that swing that j option pane. Yan. So by the way, pwede nimo na siya i-asterisk. So meaning you're going to import multiple library. But since we only use j option pane, so it would be better to define it that way. So what is j option pane? So number one, j option pane has methods inside belongs to it. So number one, so we have, let's say, show message dialog. So this show message dialog is going to display an output. So let's say uh, hello universe. All right. So upon running this program, this we I mean this it is expected that this program will display the string hello universe in a prompt. So let's say we run the program and yeah, there you are. You're able to display hello universe. All right. So that is if you want to display. Now, what if you are going to take input from the user and then we are going to display afterwards. So first is you will need a J option pane. Okay, J option pane that show input dialog. So let's say we ask for enter your name. Okay, so whenever you use show input, now show input, okay, from the definition or the word itself. So it will be asking you to enter your name, let's say Martzel. Okay, however, it only displays hello universe. It doesn't display our name. So because we take input from the user, but we never actually store it in a variable. So for us to be able to catch the value being entered by the user, you will need to store it, no, to a variable. So the idea of variable, no ba, gibitsas na to siya last time. So whenever the user enters the name, it will be stored to the variable name. And we can now say that, let's say, your name is. So your name is name. Yeah. So i-display niya your name and the entered name by the user. So let's try. So let's say we have Martzel. So your name is Martzel. So ayan. Okay. So do you have any questions before I'll continue? May questions? Wala.
Wala, sir.
Wala. Okay. Are you sure? Okay. So now let's continue. We have string. Let's say, what if we are going to take input from the users, let's say like a number. So if you're going to take input from the users like number, so this one is, let's say, enter a number now. So enter a number, and we want to calculate them, or enter first number, and then we're going to perform the uh, the summation of the numbers. So this would need to be stored to an integer or a double value. So let's say int number. Ayan. So let's say int num1. So this will give you an error kasi nga uh, option pane by default will treat any input as a string. So then the only way for us to do that is we'll need to do parsing now. So what is parsing? Parsing is converting from one type, particularly a string type, into an integer type or a double type. No, a string to int, string to double, or string to um, long, or something, or byte, or short, or something like that. So now we can actually store this one to a string, but instead pwede nato siya in anion integer dot parse int, yan, and enclose it with open and close parenthesis. So notice that you have the parenthesis for integer that parse int, an opening parenthesis, and then inside of your parse int, you put there your J option pane. Ayan. So enter first number. Ayan. So whenever the user enters a number, it will be caught by J option pane, and it is parsed by integer, and it will pass through num1. So that's the idea there. And let's say we have num2. Yan. So enter second number. All right. So this time you'll have we'll have here first, second, and then display nato siya in sa show message. So let's say the sum is, ayan, and then num1 plus num2. So ana lang, no? You parse it, and then you display it. If you I mean, if you want to display it, you just have to call show message dialog. So 4 and then 6. So the sum is actually 10. Yeah, so that's it for J option pane, no? GUI components. Okay, so what else do we have here in J option pane? So natay mga show confirm dialogues, show option dialogue. So I'm gonna be discussing that in the next coming weeks, or probably by tomorrow. Okay, so now, let's have here selection structures. Okay, so earlier I've discussed to you the different operators. We started with arithmetic operators, relational operators, and logical operators. Now we were gonna be using this to create selections, or shall we say, uh, conditions, no? So let's say we are going to ask for a number from the user, and we want to know if that number is, let's say, negative, positive, and let's say if it's, of course, if it's zero, it could be, it's not negative, it's not positive, it could be an origin. So how do we do that? First is, we'll need an if condition. So naatay ginatawag na selection, single if, two-way if, or single if, two-way if, and then we have multiple if, then we have compound statement, and then we have nested if. Okay, so now let's have the first one, which is single if. So single if. So ang single if is mo ni ang condition wherein there is only one if block. So example, if num1 is equal to, let's say, 0. So if you want to display something that the value, sorry, that the value is, let's say, num1 is an origin. So of course this is only a single if, but this doesn't actually answers the problem, which is ang problem na to dapat na ay positive, na ay negative. So since we only have single if for this one, so dili siya, wala nato na answer ang problem. So but again, that this is single if. So there are instances na in our program makagamit nato ning single if. Okay? So it's like this single if doesn't have any options or any block to, or any block na counterpart na ihang atuan once it is true, it is false. So whenever it is true, i-execute yan eh. Whenever it is false, there's nothing happen. Okay, so now if this one, we have two-way, so two-way if. So the two-way if has else and has if, no? So there's an if block, there is also an else block. So example, if it's not an origin, probably it is num1 is either positive or negative. Okay, but as what I've said earlier, we'll need to know if that number is origin, if it's positive or if it's negative. So with the current logical conditions that we have in our program, it is only going to display either if it's an origin or either a positive or negative. So it's not like it's not certain if it's positive or if it's negative. So that's the time So if I'm going to run this one, so pwede nyo na i-try. If you're going to run this one, if the number or if num1 is 0, so mao ni ang i-display. Otherwise, if num1 is 3, then diri siya 1 ni. Okay? So either it's positive or negative. So even if ang 3 is negative, diri gihapon na siya mo fall. Yan. So diri and then either 3 or negative 3. So what if we're going to convert this into multiple if? So ang multiple if, of course, there are different if blocks. So particularly sa kani. So first is, let's copy na lang. So else if num1 is, let's say, less than 0. So any number less than 0 are negative integers. So this should be is negative. Is negative. Any number, of course, if it's not 0 or equal to 0, or if it's not negative, then probably this is, or most definitely this is positive. So we are now sure and certain that this is positive. So let's try. So we have 3. Yan, 3 is positive. Let's try another one. 0. 0 is an origin. And let's have negative 5. Then, so negative 5 is negative. All right. So, yeah, that's it for um, multiple, for if conditions. Okay. Now, so we have single if, we have two-way if, and we have multiple if. So basically, these are the basic if structures no in Java and even in C++. So makita man siguro nato no. Single if has only one if block, while two-way if has if and else, and multiple if has if, an else if, and an else. So if you're going to ask me question, sir, pwede ba na po siya another else if dira? Yes, no, depending on your structure. If this requires another else if, then this falls to I don't know what you are trying to solve here, but it's like this is still multiple if. So another one is a compound statement. Okay, so what is compound statement? So compound statement, it's like in grammar or English grammar, it's a sentence, or like di ba compound sentence, it's a sentence that has two subjects, no? Or predicate. So it means that when when a program requires two multiple statements inside of an if block or an else block, and that is what we call compound statement. So unsa na statement, sir? Kanang statement morning na sa consequence, no? Kani, kani, and then kani. Example, if I'm going to convert this into a compound statement, so let's say I want to know if it's an origin, and then I will say another num is an origin, num is a zero integer. So with this, if you can notice, there is an error right here, right below, after this J option paid. So why is that? Actually, that's the problem with that is that Java now identified it as compound statement. And whenever you have a compound statement in your program, you will have to enclose it with the open and close curly braces. So in order to avoid that error, whenever you decide that there will be two statements inside of your if block or even in your else if block, then you should have enclosed it with open and close curly braces. So that's compound statement. Okay? So yeah, that's actually the difference between multiple if and compound statement. Okay, so I'm going to put it here. Yan. And then I'll discuss to you the last type of if or selection structure, which is okay, which is um, nested if. So what is this nested if? So nested if is an if within an if, no? So meaning there's an if or another if or else if inside of an if block. And therefore this could be or this must be a compound statement. So pwedeng ganon, no? Or pwede ring hindi, but usually it is a compound statement. So example, let's say if we would like to know if um, a number is, let's say, 0, and if it's less than to yeah, if it's 0, it's an origin. So let's say if it's negative, but what if it is let's say mhm, ano na lang, even and add na lang atong buhaton. So even and add. Kay murag this will not I cannot find something na ma-convert nato siya into nested if. So let's say i-convert nato ni siya into uh, add even, no? So add even numbers. So here, no, add even, we're going to convert this to na mo answer siya or mo display siya either add even. So let's say we have here if any number modulus 2 is actually an even number, but before that ato sa siyang anohon na if it's equal to 0, this is an origin. Actually even pa rin siya, no? Uh, and 0, it's an even. Actually pwede na dili siya nested. So num modulus to 2 is equal to 0. Number is actually even. Yan. So mathematically, all numbers with remainder to 0 is actually even. And so dili di gihapon nato ni nested if. So num is siyempre if not even, it could be an odd number. Sige, that this cannot be a nested if. So mangita ko laing sample. Um, let's say age na lang. Okay? Age. So nested if using age. So let's say we want to know if the age is, let's say it's equal to or less than 0 na lang. Okay, so if it's less than 0, probably the display is sa ba? Fetus, no? Sige, fetus, ano na lang. And then, let's have else if age is less than, let's say, less than 10 or equal to 10. And we will say that this is uh, in childhood ba? Oo. Or up to 17 yata. Yeah, 10 na lang. Sige. Childhood. And then if sa childhood gusto nato may balaan kung unsa siya na childhood, let's say we want to know if that age mabilong ba siya sa toddler, pailain na toddler, and what else unsa pay other toddler o kindergarten, sabay toddler. Kasi ano sa toddler, pila edad sa toddler? Hayo. Pila ba edad sa toddler? Mga 5, 4, adra, no? Di ba no maningog? So, ako na lang mo ano. Okay. So, this is toddler. Ayan. And then, if, let's say, else if age is less than to 10, so childhood siya, pero ibutang nato siya sa toddler and sa manina edad na. Ang 10 or 6 to 10, dapat kanina edad, di ano siya toddler. Ibutang nato na primary na lang, primary age. Di man ni primary age, pero example ana. So just to make these things na maging what they call this one, na maging nested if. Okay? So ayan, nested so this is nested if since whenever the age is less than or equal to 10, and then so meaning it's if it's 2 or 3 or 4, masulod siya dire mo display siya childhood. And then there's another condition that says if that age is less than 5 or equal to 5, it could be toddler. But if that age is less than 10, that could be primary age. So meaning to say, kanina range dire is 1 to 10, sorry, 1 to 10, display childhood. Then from here, ang toddler would be from 1 to 5. And then from ang dire is 6 to 10 na 6 to 10 na siya na age. So mo display siya primary age. So yeah, that's how nested if is implemented. So there you have different if statements, no? So single if, two-way if, compound, multiple if, compound, and nested if. All right. So by the way,